Oh, using morning, afternoon, for all the population, it's not Fisher yet. So, what do? Ukraine, Gilgamesh, and a long forgotten civilization known as the Aratta all have in common.
Samuel N. Fisher, author of the Legion Saga. After a top-secret, multinational military experiment goes horribly wrong in the deserted city of Pripyat in 1992, it uncovers a nightmarish 25,000-year-old plot that could spell the end of humanity. Who knows? Hopefully if they make a movie out of it, they'll cast me.
I consider the proposed storming of the industrial zone impractical. I order you to cancel it. This is a time when we must think. We must always think, but even more so in this case, about preserving the life and health of our soldiers and officers. There's no need to climb into these catacombs and crawl underground through these industrial facilities. Block off this industrial area so that the fly doesn't fly through. Once again, invite everyone who has not yet laid down their arms to do so. The Russian side guarantees their lives. Putting such an important center in the south as Mariupol under control is a success. Congratulations.
I should really have added Belarus in there. I forgot all about that. But not Belarus, Belgium. Sorry. Bulgaria. I will get the name right. For reasons we'll get to in a minute. I was informed of something the other day that I didn't even know about. There was a guy in America last year, and he owns a business called Hobby King, and it was raided by the FBI. And it was raided because he bought something from an auction a long time ago, which was a Sumerian cuneiform tablet. Now he had donated it to some museum, I think it was the Smithsonian, I could be wrong about that, but he donated it to this museum for years, and then he gave it him back because he wanted to put it in his own museum, Bible museum. So it'd been in the public for ages, right? But apparently it was stolen. It was a stolen artifact. Now, rather than take it from the museum, they waited until he got it back before they took it. Apparently. Oh, that's all very nice, you say. Well, not for that bloke, but what's that all about? Well, this tablet was was part of the Epic of Gilgamesh. The Dream tablet, sorry. And it's a dream he has just before he goes through a gate in the ruins of a place called Aratta to go and meet Utnapishtim, which is it's basically the inspiration for the biblical Noah. He was the survivor of the flood that in Sumerian myth saved humanity. Now, when this deluge happened, now for his reward he got immortal. He got to be made immortal, live out his days in this garden in peace. And this is why Gilgamesh went to see it, because he wanted his secrets. Now, just before he goes through this gate, he fights the spirits of three kings of the Arattan people who turn into lions. Well, that's great, fantastic. So what? Well, there's been a lot going on lately. You don't notice. A heavy focus on Ukraine. But several things have happened in that area over the past few years that may surprise you. One of them is this.
To provide a quick historical overview of the location, the earliest inhabitants of the area that archaeology has found traces of were the Sumerians, who were expelled by the Scythians, Iranians, during the 7th century BC. The remaining Sumerians that took refuge in the mountains later became known as the Tauri. According to other historians, the Tauri were known for their savage rituals and piracy, and were also the earliest indigenous inhabitants of the peninsula. In the 5th century BC, Greek colonists began to settle along the Black Sea coast, among them the Dorians from Heraclea, who founded a seaport of Chersonesos outside Sevastopol. It is near that city that one Vitaly Yagok claimed to have discovered a pyramid in 1999. Go said that the pyramid was built during the time of the dinosaurs. Crimean pyramid has a truncated top, like a Mayan pyramid, but its appearance is more like an Egyptian. It is hollow inside, and a mummy of unknown creature is buried under the foundation. Under the foundation is a small body in the form of a mummy long 1.3 to 1.4 meters with a crown on his head. There is a resonance chamber of so-called sphinx. The pyramids were built in the era of the dinosaurs, says the scientist in an interview with ICTV. It remains unknown who built the pyramid. The unique building is the oldest on the planet, says Vitaly Igo as reported by Becky. Reports also state that Gok helped located 37 other pyramids that exist on the Crimea Peninsula near Sevastopol, that are said to have been constructed 65 million years ago, suggesting that a previous civilization may have been wiped out by a massive meteor impact as scientists have always speculated. It has also been reported that the structures are giving off very specific frequencies, 3 of them. In fact, Forum reported back in July of 2006 in a piece titled Scientists to Dig Mysterious Pyramids in Sevastopol. We found extremely strong formation, which includes animal protein, gypsum, liquid glass, gravel. It is a man-caused pyramid, which radiates specific energy in certain periods, Vitaly Gok narrated. Ihor Lyonets, aide of the head of Sevastopol National University of Nuclear Energy and Industry, together with enthusiasts decided to confirm or refute the discovery. More than 20 commissions, including international ones, have visited the place recently. Then shockingly, Sunday it was reported by MSN via video, that a UFO was spotted over the Ukraine. Could this be the reason for the recent political and mass militarized mobilizations in and around Crimea? Please comment.
See? Very strange, isn't it? Putin's been in and out of that sea quite a lot over time, in submersibles, trying to find out what's down there, looking for stuff. There's a weird thing about when Putin annexed Ukraine, rather than send all his men to guard the borders and the infrastructure and the pipes and everything else, he sent his best troops to guard that area. So what? Well, we did the same in 2003, we, meaning the Allies, when we invaded Iraq. Rather than go step by step, making sure that there was no one behind us to come and take us out or regroup, they just made a beeline straight for Baghdad. More specifically, the Baghdad National Museum. More specifically than that, the vault in the basement of the Baghdad Museum. They ignored everything on the public floors and went straight for those vaults. And it said they were taking out tablet after tablet after tablet, steel after steel after steel, and the steelers are those little cylindrical sort of art pieces that when you roll them out on a piece of clay, exquisitely made, they make a picture. How they carve them like this is just unbelievable, but anyway. So they're obviously looking for something. Now it just so happens that in 2003, when Saddam were creating a new dam that blocked off the Tigris, he had archaeologists, German and French archaeologists, looking around the area to see what they'd find. And they found a tomb, but not just any tomb, the tomb of Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was the first, or the king that's attributed to creating the Sumerian civilization. The tale goes that he was two-thirds god, one-third man, also a giant, 15 foot tall, so they say. A lot of depictions of him, you can see him holding a lion like it's a cat. Yeah, full-grown adult lion like it's a cat. Now obviously, people at the time when they revered the kings, they made them look larger than life. But some people take that kind of literally, especially with the tales of him being part god. But throws into question why they invaded Iraq, you see. There's a long-held belief, I'm one of them, there's several other people, that believe that when they said they were looking for weapons of mass destruction, they were, kind of. It's just that what we would consider a weapon of mass destruction isn't exactly what they were looking for. Something scared them to make them go invade. And the same thing happened with Putin and Crimea. And now they've got into Donbass. Also, back to Gilgamesh. You see, Aratta was a civilization that was around long before Gilgamesh was born. He long died out, which is why he was in the ruins. They were the first civilization to meet the Anunnaki. And the more we've learnt about the Anunnaki, it would appear that maybe the Anunnaki weren't exactly who they say they were. They may have been the Aratta. Now the Anunnaki had sufficiently advanced enough technology to make themselves look like gods, because any sort of technology or advanced technology to us will look like magic, as a physical would say, which is true. So it's long been thought that maybe the Aratta were the Anunnaki. Now there's something about that Gilgamesh tablet. It describes where the Aratta were, where it was, where the gate was, everything else. That whole area of Ukraine and the top part of Bulgaria, along the Black Sea, is thought to be where the Arattan civilization was. Which brings the invasion of the Ukraine into a whole different light. I think there's an arms race going on that we're not being told about, and it's for ancient tech. But like I said, pure speculation. I'm going to play you something in a minute that links that area of Bulgaria with Ukraine and what they found in Ukraine and Crimea. It's called the Triptych Paranormal Incident.
The force of the impact hurled the young soldier across the room, sending him crashing into one of the chamber walls. There was a sickening crunch as his head connected with the polished stone, before he slumped to the ground, where he remained motionless. For the briefest of moments there was silence, and then the confined space was filled with the sound of gunfire. The colonel watched in amazement as his men fired rounds into the haze that now formed across the centre of the room, shielding the thing that was buried in the wall opposite where they were standing. As the bullets entered the shimmering field, they halted in mid-air, before falling harmlessly to the ground. The riflemen were still firing, as another of their number was suddenly thrown across the room like a rag doll by an invisible force. Stray rounds from his weapon struck at least two of them. As the din of the gunfire was replaced by the screams of the wounded, the commanding officer made the decision to order a retreat. The soldiers began to make their way back up to the surface, along a network of spiralling corridors which were never intended for humans to walk through. As he ensured that the wounded were moved ahead to the front of the party, Colonel Kernev took hold of a rifle and paused for a moment. Pressing his hand to the smooth cold stone of the corridor wall, he detected a steady vibration, which was growing in intensity. A faint green light had started to creep along the floor of the narrow tunnel behind them, which was growing in strength, along with a thrumming sensation. A few feet away, the psychic was screaming at him, saying that they should never have come to this cursed place, that none of them would make it back to the surface alive. He snapped back, telling her that if she wanted to die down here, he would gladly oblige, before ordering 2 riflemen to take her away. Kurnev tried to ignore the pleading expressions on the faces of the 2 soldiers, who he now ordered to act as their rearguard, curtly reminding them of their oath to protect the Bulgarian people. The main party had only travelled a short distance further, when they heard more gunfire echoing up the tunnel behind them, which was quickly and brutally cut short. Finally, the air grew much cooler, and the path ahead was illuminated by daylight. The party staggered out into the open. Orderlies and medics rushed forward to assist them. The colonel shouted for the engineers to seal up the tunnel entrance using their excavators, only to be told that the machines were not working. The 2 tanks guarding the site perimeter were similarly malfunctioning, and so explosive charges had to be brought forward instead. The psychic was still shouting at him, cursing him for ignoring her advice, and that of Baba Vanga. For a moment he considered shooting the woman on the spot, but instead motioned for one of the orderlies to sedate her. She was a problem that could wait for another time. Several minutes later, the charges had been detonated, burying the bodies of his men deep underground, with whatever had killed them.
See? Now this was found in USSR documents, yeah, Soviet documents that were released after the collapse. So you have that area of Bulgaria, yeah, Crimea, where they found that pyramid. And when you go to Mariupol, yeah, or down rather to Mariupol, which is down in this area here, yeah, if you down this one, yeah, in Ukraine, in between, you have a steel complex in the middle, yeah, steelworks in the middle of Mariupol. Below that is an expanse the size of the city itself. Call it the catacombs. And for weeks, the Azov brigade have been holed up in there, told not to surrender. And the Ukrainian allies have been trying to fly somebody or something out for several weeks now. Yeah? Each time they get the helicopter shot down. They've now omitted the civilians. Number one, why does the steelworks have catacombs underneath it? Number two, why are the civilians there? And number three, did they find something? Until next time, like, share, subscribe, you know the drill. See you later.